Good evening. A little bit later broadcast than usual, but that's also fine. And almost looked like we ran into technical difficulties with some internet problems, but we sorted out. Right, I'm not going to wait too much longer with this. I'm chatting to a guy I found on Instagram by chance, and I saw a video of him flying a wingsuit, and it completely grabbed my attention. And I remember back in high school, I did oral one day about base jumping. Hello, are we back? Okay, looks like we are back. Right, so what I was saying is that I was talking oral about base jumping and how people jump off and buildings and structures and antennas and cliffs and everything. And yeah, many years later, I've followed guys like Wallis and all these guys, and luckily I found this local guy. So let's bring in Jean-Jacques and see where this goes. Hopefully the connection stays. Hey, man.
Hey, how's it, bro? How's it going?
All right, and you?
Okay. Happy to be here.
It's, you know, these things is everything's working fine, and then when it's showtime, everything fails.
Yeah, man, but yeah, Africa internet.
Man, it's absolutely crazy. I've been having issues with my laptop connecting to the Wi-Fi. I don't know what it is. I've updated everything, but yeah, one of those 10 things we'll never be able to figure out.
That's so good. It's swaying now.
Yeah. So, how have you been?
That's been good. Lockdown's slowly coming to an end, I think. We're allowed out the house, so we're allowed to go back into the mountains, go fly and play a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still not really back to normal. There's no skydiving happening anywhere in South Africa, so it's like pretty much just mountain-powered missions at the moment.
Okay. So just as a quick background, I looked on your Instagram and your Facebook and all those things to gather as much info as I can. But where are you from? How did you, yeah, I think let's start where you're from, where did you go to school, all those kind of things.
I'm from Johannesburg. I grew up in Joburg. Pretty much lived my whole life in a suburb. I think it's called Melville, just next to Auckland Park.
Okay.
And yeah, pretty much spent my whole entire childhood there. I went to school at Laerskool de Gelderland, so that's like a little primary school there in London. And then I moved on to an English high school, King Edward's, the 7th school there in Houghton, Cairns. And I did a few years in boarding school. It was super fun. And I got my own car, and from then on, I've just pretty much been adventuring.
Awesome. Have you spent time in the States? Because it almost sounds like you've got a bit of a Yankee rrr there going to your English.
I'm not too sure. A lot of people tell me that, but I was in America for a little bit, but maybe I brought some of it back. Maybe not. I wasn't there for too long. I went there for a little holiday, went there to go practice some skydiving, and made a lot of cool new friends, and did some cool base jumps out in Moab, and pretty cool adventure we had there.
Okay, awesome. Right, so I think what everybody wants to know is, how did you get into this whole jumping of mountains thing? Let's start at the beginning.
So you got to start at the basics. So it all starts pretty much like swimming. Imagine like when you're a kid, the first thing you're taught is to go swim so you don't drown. And water is all around you the whole time. And the air is the same. It's exactly there. It's around us all the time. So it's pretty much the only way I can relate to normal people. Like trying to relate to skydiving is very difficult because it's such an out there thing that no one actually wants to go try it. But actually, it's as normal as floating in a little swimming pool, cruising around. You can move your body around in the air pretty easily. It's very soft, fluffy feeling when you're free falling. And pretty much anyone can do it nowadays. Unfortunately, not in South Africa. We don't have any indoor skydiving wind tunnels. Yeah. So pretty much overseas, the kids are getting into it from super young, and they start flying and playing around in there, and they're actually getting better than all the grown-ups and making us look bad. But yeah, that's the evolution of our sport. The kids are now showing us the way forward, and I think that's amazing. We can learn from them, and I think they're going to push our sport even further into the future, and hopefully it becomes an Olympic sport. And there's so many different disciplines of skydiving itself that it's amazing. You cannot actually ever do everything in skydiving. You have to kind of pick your niche disciplines and try play with that and get good at that. And the community is massive. The amount of people that you meet is incredible. It takes you all around the world. If you learn to skydive, it's pretty much like the biggest adventure of your life. It allows you to play in a playground where very few people get to go and play. And I think that's what makes it so special. It's a very cool place, and a lot of cool people go play in that place. And it's actually very accessible to most people in the world. You just have to go try.
Yeah, well, it's still very high on my bucket list to go do. But how old are you now?
I'm now 30, turning 31 this year.
31. Okay, so you basically came on. You still got social media in the early days?
I think so. I think like about 2008, Facebook started, but it wasn't anything more than just to like connect with your friends and go to parties and stuff.
Yeah. So when you started doing this, it wasn't a popular thing that people would post on social media, or like what you're doing now is on a pro level. So it was still very much a leisure kind of sport or thing.
Yeah, I don't think everyone posts on social media. I think the reason why I had to go that direction is because I saw it as a source of income. I could manage to work with a lot of different brands, test their parachutes, test their wingsuits, and it opened up a different world to me. Like I didn't have to go to the office to work. I didn't have to go skydive for money. I can actually go do my passion for like what I want to do. And it kind of works, but there's ups and downs, and there's not lots of money to be made, but you can maybe sustain your living with doing what you want to do.
Okay, so when was your first jump? Because you said to me on the WhatsApp message that you did your first jump in 2004, and from then it was just you were hooked.
Yeah, so My uncle owned a skydiving club in Pretoria called Pretoria Skydiving Club. And I got into it like that. My uncle's been jumping his whole life. He's got thousands and thousands, 10,000 jumps plus. And I kind of like when I was a kid, I used to go hang out at the skydiving club and you would see skydiving happening. I would see base jumping videos. I'd see wingsuits flying around. So that element of being in the air was as completely normal as me going surfing in the waves or just going swimming or doing anything else. So immediately you could see this is like, there's a massive playground up there. And I could see the potential of how you could actually learn to fly your body in multiple different ways, in multiple different disciplines. And eventually that actually becomes you become capable of jumping off rocks, flying off mountains, and using the element of air itself just to move around and go wherever you want to with no engine, no power except your body. So your body is the engine.
Well, when,
like
I said in the quick intro, I think I was in standard 8, the old standard 8, which is now grade 10, and I read in the FHM they had a little article on base jumping, but this is now 1998, and it was fascinating. It was fascinating to me, and back then, well, those that don't know, is base jumping stands for buildings, antenna, span, and earth. So
now there's so many objects you can jump off anything you see that's high enough. Like I think the lowest base jumps now are like down to like 22 meters. So whatever you want goes.
Okay.
Scary.
But yeah, so that was hugely interesting to me, is because and I remember, if I remember correctly, there was still a lot of stuff in the article where they said that it's a very technical part, because you need to bring into consideration the wind and the wind gusts and all those kind of things when you're working with these structures that you're jumping off, because you can get tangled and whatever the story is.
For sure. So the most important thing with the base jumping is we look at wind gear, we check the weather apps, and we only go jump actually when the weather is calm. There's no wind. We try and avoid jumping in any wind. With the wingsuits, we can actually use the wind to our advantage and jump into a headwind that creates some lift on the mountain, and then you can actually start flying a little bit sooner. But base jumping is a fair weather sport. You don't see us flying around when there's a storm or when it's super windy. But then you get sports like speed flying. When it gets windy, you can actually pull out a little parachute, go onto the mountain, and go rip around. And it just everything opens up. There's a sport for all types of weather.
Oh no, man! It's so actual paragliding must be stupidly boring for you.
Yeah, no, I did it a little bit, and I was just like, no, this is just checking out the view. I want to be on the terrain, moving around, and I think the movement through the air is what I like the most. Is making like you can carve a line down a mountain skiing or surfing. And the air is invisible, and the only way to actually see what you're doing is to put some mountain next to it, and then it looks pretty visual and cool. It's like Star Wars.
Yes. Okay, so you had your first jump out of a plane, and then you did a whole bunch of that stuff. So what tickled your fancy to climb up onto a mountain and jump from it?
Eventually you'll want to base jump. If you skydive long enough, you will want to base jump. I promise you.
Okay, that's interesting. So
if you learn to base jump, you'll be doing it for yourself. You're not going to be doing it for anyone else, because you would have had to put a huge amount of effort and money to train yourself in the skydiving environment, to get good enough to fly your body, to fly your parachute, to be competent enough to be safe, to read weather. And only when you can look after yourself in skydiving for a while, then you can only think about base jumping, because base jumping is a different ballgame. If you're pretty much compressing that whole skydive into a few seconds. Whereas in skydiving, there's a lot of time. You're free falling for like 1 minute. The ground is always kilometers away from you. You have a computer in your parachute. You have a reserve parachute. Everything is made so safe. It's safer than your BMW you're driving around. So since like, I don't know, about the year 2000, skydiving has become so safe that most countries around the world, you can be 16 years old and you'll be allowed to go and sign up and do a skydiving license. And then from there, you'll have to do your 10 skydives. Once you've done 10 skydives, you'll have to try to get to A license. That's 25 skydives. And you write a little test. And then it kind of proves that you know the emergency procedures. You can look after yourself. You can land safely. And then there's so much to it. It just never ends. Like, I haven't seen the end of it. I think I'm on around like 10% of what I can get to.
So the new chute has actually got like a sensor in, and you set it to probably, right, if you get to 1,000 feet, it deploys the parachute kind of thing, or how does it work?
You don't have to adjust anything. You pretty much just switch it on in the morning when you start jumping. It will automatically adjust to the level of the place that you're landing at. Then
Your altitude.
Make sure that that's ground level, so it knows where the ground is. And if anything happens to you, you get unconscious or someone flies into you, you should never be flying with people that are going to fly into you in the first place. You should always be jumping with a buddy that's competent, that can skydive properly, that you can do planned jumps, that you're actually going to learn stuff and not just like fall out the air. But pretty much skydiving has become so safe that it's a community-driven sport. There's groups of people doing it. Like, I think the biggest formation in the world where 400 people came together all together. It was absolutely crazy. And they've now done the vertical formation record. That's about 200 people free flying. So they're flying on their head upside down. It's a little faster.
Sure.
So we can fly on our stomach, on our back, sitting and upside down. We can move around everywhere. And there's a lot of different disciplines and a lot of stuff to do. But I'm going a little bit off topic. Yeah, so there's just too much to it, man. Like, you got to ask the right questions.
It's interesting. So that first time you stood on the edge of the mountain, did your pupil go like this?
No, you get a little bit of, you're scared, but you're focused, because I did about 2,000 skydives before I thought I was ready to go base jump. And I probably was ready, but like, as soon as you start base jumping, you realize there's some stuff in skydiving that you've got to go practice again, come back, try again, especially with the free fall stuff. The free fall stuff you can only practice in skydiving. There's no other way to do it. You can't go jump off a cliff and hope that you're going to fly and see what happens. There's just no way to do that.
Jeez,
and like, history has proven itself over and over again. The ground's the limit. You got to like learn where the limit is and try not to push it too hard.
You can only fall as far as the ground, but it's pretty high up from up there.
Yeah.
So where was your first jump?
My first base jump was in Uppington.
Really? Where the hell in Uppington did you jump off a mountain?
There's actually no mountains in Uppington. It's the A of base jumping. It's the antenna.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Did you jump off that solar plant antenna?
No. I'd love to, but I don't think they'll let me go do that.
Yeah. So where did you jump in Uppington?
Yeah, so there's a big antenna out there. I won't say where it is, but there's a few antennas out there in the middle of nowhere, and some of them have little fences around them, and you can just pretty much make your way to them and climb up and go to the top and jump off.
Okay, so I presume it is a completely illegal jump.
Yeah, for sure. I think most of the base jumps in on private property anywhere in the world would be illegal.
Okay.
Unless you got the permission from the owner, and that would probably be like MTM or Centec or someone.
Which is highly unlikely. Oh my word! Awesome. Well, Uppington of all places. So, okay, right. Run me through this. How did you happen to drive in that area? Saw this massive antenna, or did you actually scout it, Google Earth, and see what?
Yeah, no. So the problem with South Africa is that I looked at it, and there's a lot of base jumps, but most of the base jumps have really bad landing areas, and they're not really big. So You gotta sacrifice something for something else. And unfortunately, there's no beautiful bridges with green grass at the bottom. Like you can go to Blowgrants and it's like a gnarly cliff with like a gnarly bridge with like a narrow gully and like a little landing area. But I didn't see that as a beginner-friendly place for myself. So I went to the next best thing I could find, and that would have been an antenna.
Okay.
And I would not recommend it to anyone else. I would recommend everyone else in the world to go find a bridge, go overseas, go sign up for a first jump base course if you're ever going to do base jumping. Make sure you got 300, 400 skydives before you even think about going base jumping. Put in the effort to go to learn how to do it properly. Otherwise, you just come short. You want to do it for a long time. And if you do it for a long time, it's going to be a good time. So, yeah.
Okay, so right, you did. So, but were you up in the Northern Cape at that stage?
No, I wasn't. I was actually in Pretoria. I was at the skydiving club. I decided my one buddy got a base rig, and we were just like, well, what's the safest thing we could drive to? So we started driving to like a cliff. And I was like, no, this is going to be a bad idea. So we turned the car around and we headed 10 hours to Uppington. We actually jumped the Uppington antenna. We decided, we learned that was probably also a dumb idea. We came back and then we actually took it very slow. We started jumping smaller jumps. We started doing the base progression a little bit more safer. Went back to basics, do small jumps. When you start base jumping, you want to start doing PCAs. So that's a pilot chute assist where we actually hold the pilot chute, you jump off and it extracts the whole parachute for you. So it doesn't really matter what your body position is, kind of the parachute's going to open straight and fly away and kind of get away with it. But the safest place to practice all this stuff is on a bridge. And there's only a few bridges down on the east coast of South Africa. A few of them are good, like Gerrits. It's a low bridge. It's like 50 meters high.
60.
A little bit of beach sand at the bottom. Yeah, I think 60 meters high.
I've bungee jumped there before when it.
Yeah, no, gnarly. I would not bungee jump off that bridge.
Yeah, that was also late in the late 90s. I did my first bungee jump there, and it was still operational at that stage, big time.
Yeah, so Gerrits is probably the best place in South Africa for anyone wanting to learn how to base jump. Then you would actually go there and do some PCAs. I don't think it's safe to jump free fall it for beginners. You have to tie yourself down, static line or PCA off the bridge. And it's only a 5-second ride. It's not long. It's like the parachute opens, you fly a little bit, you can grab the controls, and then you're landing on a beach. And it's nice, it's safe landing area, but the parachute flight isn't very long. If you look at overseas kind of bridges, some bridges are up 150 meters, 200 meters, 300 meters high off the ground. So that free fall time is what gives you safety in any type of base jumping. Pretty much the higher object is, the safer it gets.
So Gerrits, because I remember now from bungee jumping there, it goes flipping quickly when as soon as you leave, and until the rope pulls you back, that's like split second. So basically, when you do that with the parachute is just your brake.
The parachute would just be catching you. So the bridge is actually 3.5 seconds to impact if you had to drop a rock off of there. Yeah. So you only have like a second of actually where your parachute has to come out of that bag. It has to inflate, otherwise you're gonna hurt your legs.
But one of the things I remember from jumping at Gerrits was when you get off at the bottom and they untie you got to climb up that thing on the side, and like halfway up there's a big board saying beware of snakes.
Oh no, everywhere in South Africa, bro, there's snakes everywhere.
Oh my word. So okay, right, so you're in Cape Town now at the moment.
Yeah, I live just outside of Cape Town, just past Malmesbury. Before COVID hit, I worked at a skydiving club about 5 minutes from me called Mother City Skydiving.
Yeah.
And yeah, since there's no tourists, pretty much no work. So Just been
So-
base jumping and speed flying and mountaining the whole time.
So just past Malmesbury is where?
Just past Malmesbury. It's pretty north of Cape Town, 100
Yeah,
kilometers
yeah.
north.
I grew up in Mariesburg.
Oh, no ways. Mariesburg's like freaking 10 k's from my house.
Oh, awesome. So whereabouts are you at Restasi in that area?
Yeah, we're super close to Restasi. Out here, I'm renting a little house here on the farm, so
Oh, that's
pretty
awesome.
nice mountains, close to the mountains. Can get out, not in the city.
So does any of the Mariesburgers or Malmesbury people know that you live out there? You mingle with the locals.
Yeah, I mingle with some of the locals, but yeah, it's not too busy.
Ah, that's awesome. It's amazing. I've actually had two other people from Mariesburg that I've chatted to who was at school with me. The one guy plays rugby for France, Bernard Leroux, and the other guy runs a boutique ad agency in Joburg, Aldrie van Jaarsveld, also all Mariesburg guys.
Yeah. Mariesburg, Malmesbury, and Riebeek. It's like a little village scene going on.
Yeah. Have you been up onto Riebeek Kasteel Mountain?
Yeah. I was pretty much spent my whole weekend on it this weekend.
Okay. And is there possibilities for jumps up there?
There's one base jump at Riebeek West and little cliff, dodgy little cliff. But yeah, we opened it about 2 years ago, I think. Myself and a Polish guy, Tobias, we jumped it, and we were pretty scared when we got to it because the cliff isn't straight vertical. It kind of leans a little bit, and so you got to jump really hard to get into the clean airspace. And
Okay.
the jump is about as high as the Gerrits bridge, the cliff actually. It's about 70 meters. Nice, but then the parachute flight is super nice. It goes down for about 1 minute, and then you land on like a little trail.
Okay, cool. And okay, so base jumping is the one thing, but the wingsuit is something totally different.
Oh yeah, if you wingsuit, you got to learn how to skydive wingsuit first.
Okay, so you jump out of a plane first and you get to know how it works.
Yeah, so you would do a first flight wingsuit course. So when you're proficient enough at skydiving and flying your body in forward movement and you're stable, then you can sign up and do a first flight wingsuit course. So if you meet all the requirements in the skydiving environment, you will get a coach. They'll give you a little coaching course, and then they'll teach you how to wingsuit safely. Once you've got level 1, I think you're allowed to wingsuit with like one of your friends. Then you and your buddy will go play together, and you'll try to get more and more coaching, and eventually the group just gets bigger and bigger until you got like 5-10 people wingsuiting together with you in the sky, flying dynamic lines going all over the place.
Well, the wingsuit is something amazing because you can actually fly with that thing. You can say, right, I want to go there, and then you can go in that direction where you can't do that when you normally jump off a cliff.
Yeah, exactly. If you have no wingsuit, you can actually fly your body forward. We've got tracking suits that we fly now called Onesie Power. It's made by one of my sponsor companies called Phoenix Fly. Super cool company from Slovenia. And Robbie, he makes these super sick wingsuits and tracking suits that you use your body to fly down the mountain. But with the bodysuit, you need a super big cliff and then a massive downhill. And at the moment, the longest body flying base jump in South Africa is like 42 seconds of free fall, I think, from the mountain. It's pretty massive if you think 40 seconds of free fall just with the power of your body before you need to open a parachute.
And when you fly with the wingsuit, how long is it before you got to open up?
The longest one I've done in South Africa is 2 minutes. 2 minutes of free fall from a mountain.
Sure, that's awesome. I think that must be absolutely amazing.
It is super nice. It's a very nice way to get down the mountain. It saves my knees a lot.
That's the other question I had, because obviously when you go up these mountains, you got to you're going to hike up with like just your suit and your parachute, because you can't go back and go fetch your shit up there. You need to, and you can't take it with you.
Some places we do make a base camp, and then we'll stage the jump in a day or two. But most of the jumps out here, I can do it with a bar one and a 750 ml water. Run to the top, jump off. Get
and the water you
lunchtime.
And the water you can stick in your suit and fly with it, or?
Most of the time I pour all the water out before I jump. I try to make myself as light as possible, and that gives you the best performance.
Okay. All right. So, how did you get into being professional at this? Apart from coaching and teaching skydiving.
Just pretty much competing, and I think just playing and having fun, man. Just going out there and trying everything.
So the margin for error in trying everything is pretty small, I would say.
No, there's a huge margin of error. Like if you can jump off a mountain and you can fly away. You don't have to go near the rocks if you want to. So at the end of the day, it's self-discipline, and each base jumper is each to their own. Some people fly close to the rocks. Some people fly away from the rocks. Some people do tricks in the air. So you got to look after yourself, especially when you're a beginner. And most of the beginners out there make this mistake too early. It's too easy to fly too close. You can fly this close the whole time, and you don't realize it, and you're being dumb as fuck. So, and I realize it now. Like the more I jump, the more I realize that I've actually put myself into a little bit of a danger zone where I should actually be flying with a little bit more margin. And the margin is not big. You don't have to fly at 1 meter. You can fly at 5 meters away, or you can fly at 7 meters away. But it's still under 10 meters, so it still makes you feel like you're having the rush, but you're not pushing it to mincemeat rush.
When was it? I think it was 2014 or something when Jeb Corliss crashed on Table Mountain. When was it? I think it was
2011.
2011. And I saw some clips of him when he was flying in Norway, and they were clipping those balloons that the guys were standing on those edges. Yeah. You've done similar stuff.
Yeah, so one of the disciplines in base jumping, in wingsuiting now, is target strike. So it's a target. You have like a little horn on your helmet, and then you punch to the target.
Oh shit! So you got to actually punch it with your head. It's not like you've. Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah, so you are the bullet, and you're going for the target.
Sure.
And there's the target would be held up, and it is filmed with a high-speed camera from the other side. So it sees exactly where your chopstick comes out the target. So it's like archery, and then you get scored on what color you hit.
And who judges this?
A judge.
Okay. Jeez, that's interesting. I didn't even know that you could do that.
There's only one competition in the world that where it's an actual competition, and it's in China. It's held every year. It's called the World Wingsuit League. And
is that the one where you fly through the hole?
No, we don't fly through the hole. Only Jeb Corliss flew through the hole.
Oh, okay.
He's super famous for flying through the hole.
But is it illegal, or you're not allowed to do it, or what?
You're not allowed to jump there unless you're invited for the competition.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a really cool place, and it's like pretty much like the most sacred place for the Chinese, because it's this amazing location. It's very, very spiritual. There's temples everywhere, and it's called Heaven's Gate, and yeah, it's amazing. I would definitely recommend, if you're ever going there, go check out the Avatar Mountains and Heaven's Gate. I've never seen mountains like that. There's nothing like that in South Africa. Nothing like that in America. Nothing like that in Europe. It's just unreal mountains there.
So what is your bucket list adventure? Because everybody's got a bucket list, and skydiving is on mine. But what would be on yours?
On mine would just be specific adventures in mountains.
Okay. Can you name one of them?
I got a lot of projects in the Cape Mountains, and I have a lot of projects in the Drakensberg at the moment.
Drakensberg, I would presume, could be quite cool.
Drakensberg is super awesome. They've been jumping the Drakensberg for the last 20 years. Pretty much that's how long base jumping's been happening in South Africa. Since about 1998, since the international base jumpers came over, taught some local skydivers how to do it. And for the last 20 years, people have been jumping off cliffs all around in South Africa on private property and national parks. Anywhere you could ever imagine. But pretty much every building in Johannesburg, every building in Pretoria, every building in Cape Town, and it's a big wild world out there. And especially if you go chasing mountains, South Africa has endless amounts of mountains. And even as myself, I don't think I'd ever be able to jump every mountain in South Africa. There's just way too much to do.
Okay, and okay, so if you say every building in Cape Town and Joburg has been jumped, so I presume you carry your everything in like a small backpack. You make like you're doing delivery or something. You try to get to the roof.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes you know people in the building. Sometimes you try and make some new friends, and that's how it goes. There is actually a few legal buildings to jump in South Africa, and that attracts a lot of base jumpers from overseas. We have a building in Pretoria that's actually totally abandoned, and we're allowed to jump it.
Sure. And also a bottle of brandy can get you a long way in South Africa.
Yeah, I'm sure. Especially during lockdown, that would have been perfect.
And a pack of smokes. I wanted to ask you something about. As the guys jump Blyderrivier Canyon yet?
Yes, I have a friend Thomas that actually lives in Hoedspruit, and he's actually opened and jumped a lot of those cliffs with his friends, and he's been telling me to go there for years, and I've gone there. I've checked out the location, but the problem with that place is the landing area. It's just it's bushveld, bro. It's big
and you
trees.
can't land in the dam because the crocs and the hippos are going to get you.
Yeah, I've been down to that dam, and I'm lucky I didn't get eaten because I spent a lot of time next to the water.
The Blyderrivier Canyon is amazing. Fish River Canyon, have you done that, or do you know if people have done that?
No, Fish River Canyon, not many people have gone there. It's very dry, and the base jumping would be low base jumping. So there's not. I wouldn't say there wouldn't be any wingsuit jumps there. If there is, it's going to be very low and very technical wingsuiting.
Okay. What happened? You might be able to correct me, but I presume I remember there was a story of a guy that wanted to fly his wingsuit off Everest.
Yeah.
Was there something like that?
Yeah, a few people have. I would say at least 5 groups have proposed to go do it, and only one guy has actually ever done it. His name is Valery Rosov. He's a Russian base jumper, and unfortunately, he died a few years ago on Abu Dhabi, and he was the first person to jump off a lower cliff on the side of Everest, because there is no cliff at the top of Everest. You can't jump off it. But he actually did wingsuit off to base camp from Everest.
Yes, sir. But I presume in the first couple of 100 meters would have been stupidly fast because the air is so thin up there.
Yeah, exactly. Even when we're jumping in the Drakensberg, we have to make the safety margin more on the beginning of the jump because of the thin air. Whereas if we jump in Cape Town, the air is a lot thicker and we can jump a lot lower cliffs and get flying a lot faster here.
And you can actually feel the difference from jumping off, let's say, Table Mountain versus jumping off in Drakensberg.
I would say you can for sure definitely feel it with a wingsuit when you're flying, and I would say the best way to experience it is actually doing a skydive in Pretoria versus a skydive in Cape Town.
Okay. Well, does the Pretoria one go quicker, or
it doesn't go quicker? It's just like the sound of the air sounds faster, if I could say that. Okay. And the air feels like it's more dynamic, whereas in Cape Town the air feels very soupy and solid and thick because we're at sea level.
Sure. That's very interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Pretty weird.
Okay.
The
Yeah,
higher
the
you
video.
go, the thinner the air would be, and the less grip there is in the air. That's why when you see like those high altitude skydives from space, where the Red
Yeah.
Bull guy or Alan Houston jumps out,
Mhm.
they actually lose control for half the skydive because there's no air for them to grip on to fly.
Yes.
And then when they get to about like 60, 70,000 feet, they can actually start gripping and flying again.
You must be
But yeah,
stupidly you must be crazy drunk in your head after that spin.
Yeah, I know. That's why some of them would use a drogue parachute to keep them stable in that thin air so that they wouldn't spin out of control like Felix did.
Okay. What's one of the biggest myths that there is to sky jumping? I know a lot of people, but there's always myths around
It's
something.
dangerous. People keep saying it's dangerous. Skydiving is dangerous. It's not that dangerous. Living in Africa is probably way more dangerous. Living in America is way more dangerous than skydiving.
Right now.
COVID-19, way more dangerous than skydiving. Driving in your car, way more dangerous.
It's like people are scared of sharks in the sea. It's
Yeah.
the chance of you getting in your car driving 200 meters down the road to the shop is more dangerous than being eaten by a shark.
Yeah, but you see, a lot of people don't realize that people die in car accidents, and then they go hop in their car and they don't think twice of any of those accidents. They just go on with your life, eh? Live your life and you do what you want.
Yeah, they walk into the shops with 2 liters of sanitizer and they've got nothing left when they come out, and then they get in their car and they don't worry about anything.
Yeah, make sure you got sanitizer.
So does the Swartland guys know that this is what you do? The guys in Mariesburg.
I've been skydiving here in Malmesbury for the last 6 years, so I think pretty much the whole community knows that we're jumping, and anyone can come for a skydive. If anyone wants to come for a jump, I'll strap you up and we go up and throw you out of an airplane.
Where's the flights the base where you work from in Malmesbury?
It's on the N7, about 13 kilometers from Malmesbury.
Towards Mariesburg.
Yeah, towards Mariesburg, just on the left, the little airfield.
Oh yeah, they were where the crop dusters take off from.
Yeah, where the crop dusters. So that's I think it's called Diepkloof Airfield.
Yeah, I know exactly where it is. It's right next to the N7. You can see it there.
Yeah, but there's a lot of skydiving clubs in South Africa and a lot of beautiful ones. I would recommend, like, you don't have to travel to me to come and skydive. Go to your local place. Find the places that's nearest to you, because you're going to save money. The view might be amazing right above your house. You just don't know it. And I think there's about 10, 15, maybe even 20 skydiving clubs in South Africa. And hopefully a lot of them will start back up once the tourism gets going again.
Yeah, I know there's one in Robertson, and they are quite busy.
Yeah, Robinson is mostly a fun jumping skydiving club, so it operates on the weekends. And there's 3 other skydiving clubs in Cape Town. There's Skydive Cape Town, Mother City Skydiving, and Skydive 2 Oceans. They're pretty much all within an area, all in the winelands, and all tourist orientated. And before COVID came, we were all running 7 days a week, nonstop. There was endless tourists coming. I was jumping like 10 times a day.
and then that's tandem jumps with the tourists.
Yes, that's pretty much what my main income is here in Cape Town.
Okay, and okay, so now you get this old Tanny from England that wants to come and experience adrenaline for the first time in 80 years, and she doesn't want to go out the door. What do? You just go with her.
I can during the experience, I can read your body language and I can convince you to go do it. You just have to tell me what you're fearing. You just have to tell me what you're scared of, and I'll tell you why you don't have to be scared of it.
Okay.
It's like, you can touch the water, don't worry, it's not going to hurt you. So you put your hand outside the airplane and you feel the air a little bit. And then you're like, oh, okay, it's cool. It feels like driving on the highway. And then you put a foot outside and you're like, oh, okay, it's very mellow. And then I think the most important thing that people don't realize is the breathing. If you can wax the breathing and just breathe naturally and not hold your breath or freak out too much, the experience will be very relaxing. You'll hop out into the air, you'll be floating there, you'll have a beautiful view. There's no spinning, you're very in control. So if you're going to go do a tandem skydive, try relax, try enjoy the view, try enjoy the experience, and try to breathe, because if you breathe, you'll be in the moment.
Okay, so people just hold their breath and they hyperventilate or something.
I've seen everything. There's 7 billion people on this earth, and I have not seen one person react the same. Most people love it. I would say 99% of the people love it. Even the most scared people I've taken, when they jump out the plane, it's like a 180 happens in that person's life. They realize it's now or never. They put on the spot, and they see beauty in something scary. And for that 30-40 seconds of free fall, the cameraman's interacting with them. He's giving they're getting a high five from someone else. They're interacting with him during the free fall. He's flying upside down, and just before the parachute opens, he'll give a little wave, and parachute opens up, and it goes completely quiet. I can then talk to them. They're normally screaming a little bit, like all happy. So it's a pretty amazing experience. Most people are in shock when the parachute opens. They just take a few seconds and they're like trying to process what happened. And the more jumps you do, the more aware you become of your environment. It's like when you get dropped into water for your first time, it's like, whoa, this place is crazy, I'm going to drown. But eventually you learn how to swim, and then eventually you can go under the water and you can swim on your back and do whatever. So
the one guy
keep trying to relate it to water. If you like water, you're gonna love skydiving. It works vice versa.
Okay, yeah. Stuart Potgieter says that's probably him. That'll be like that. And Daniel asks, has anybody ever bailed before?
Anyone ever bailed?
Yeah, probably said no. There's no way they're going out this plane.
The one time I took about, I would say it's like a 10-year-old kid up, and he really wanted to go the whole time until the door opened. And I didn't want to scare that kid for life, so I told him it's okay, and we came down. And actually a few days later, he came back and he did the skydive, and he was super stoked, and I think he'll go on to jump again.
Yeah, his dad probably didn't love him a lot because he had to pay twice.
I think we actually let him have the ride down. It was absolutely for free that day.
Oh, awesome. And do people throw up while in the air?
So the only reason why you would vomit skydiving is having a sugar crash because you partied too hard the night before.
Okay.
You drank a lot. You saw the brochure for skydiving. You were like, yeah, let's go skydive the next day. Just book it for the next weekend. Don't book it for the next day, because I don't want you vomiting on me.
Has it happened to you before?
Yeah, it happens every now and then. I would say like out of every 1,000 people you jump with, 3 or 4 are going to vomit on you. It's because of the sugar crash that happens.
Okay.
So the adrenaline eats the sugar. They've just had alcohol in their system all night. And it could happen if you don't eat. And if you don't eat in the morning or don't have breakfast before you go skydive, you also have that sugar crash and you become nauseous.
Oh, that's very interesting.
Because you get put on in the moment, and you have to now perform, take photos, smile, look cool in free fall, and then when that's all over, you crash. And it happens a lot.
Pose for Instagram. Yeah.
But a lot of people are super are not even affected by skydiving. You land, you feel completely normal, you have a little bit of a buzz, you calm down, and you can go jump again. And you can do up to 20 jumps a day, and you'll be fine.
Okay, that's very interesting. Very interesting, that the whole sugar thing. Oh, so what? Obviously, with each flight, you still get a bit of adrenaline rush, but I presume it's like you become a little bit numb to it after a while. That is there anything
Um,
big that you're chasing that you think that okay, right, this is going to give me the right kick this time?
Flying my wingsuit and flying my super small speed wing gives me a really big rush. Um, you have to perform. It's like hopping into a race car and the controls are live. You can't let go of the controls. You can't wait till you can't just put it on autopilot. You have to be active and be in the moment the whole time because you're flying really fast, and especially if you're flying dynamically, you have to be super focused. You got to be on it. You got to make sure you don't do anything you're not supposed to be doing, and you got to look after yourself. Like,
did you see that BBC? I think it was BBC Earth where they tried to mimic the flight of an eagle down the mountain. So they had a Speedflyer strapped one of these big red cameras to his body. No, it wasn't a red camera. It was a Panasonic GH5, if I can remember, on his head to give this whole experience of what the eagle should look like while it's speeding down this mountain. It was absolutely insane.
no, I don't think I've ever seen that footage, but I've seen some footage of wingsuiters flying and a peregrine falcon tagging the back of the base jumper's parachute while going down the mountain.
It does. You don't want that thing to tear a hole in your wing.
No, it was more like a love tap than anything else.
Those peregrines are amazing. They are stupidly fast. Have you encountered them or other birds of prey while flying? Because I know there's a lot of black eagles around in the Cape.
Lots of birds on the mountains. The most common bird I encounter in the sky is swallows. So the swallows are pretty curious. They're very fast. And then big birds of prey, they'll come check you out, especially here in Malmesbury. It's pretty cool because when the parachute opens under the tandem, we get to fly down for about 5-10 minutes. And during that flight, sometimes you'll find like 3-4 eagles, and the tandem passengers love it. They're like, whoa, there's something up here. And it's like the air is alive and you're sharing that place with that bird. And it's pretty cool. I've had a secretary bird actually come about like 2 meters away from us here in Malmesbury, and that was probably the coolest encounter I had.
Yeah, you don't see them often. Yeah, I've found a couple of them outside here in Worcester on the fields, but they are very, very scarce. Something we've got here is black eagles quite a bit, and I've got a drone, so I've flown the drone. I've flown the drone, and I'm 120, 150 meters up, and all of a sudden there's an eagle. So it's almost like that. Okay, right. What do you do now? Is it just curious? Will it attack the thing? Seagulls is a bitch because whenever you fly to sea, you need to like keep an eye out for seagulls because they attack the drone like hardcore.
Yeah, I'm sure. Drones are noisy. It's an unnatural thing in the environment. So it's like a very like aggressive bee.
Yeah, and bees. I've flown a thing on farms where there's beehives. As soon as you come close to the beehives, they will start attacking the drone. You can see it on the camera as they start hitting the camera and everything.
Oh wow, I never knew that. That's the first time I heard that.
Must be the frequency from the props or something.
Oh, that's crazy. So where do you actually stay in Worcester?
Yeah, I'm in Worcester. Been living here for in September it will be 11 years.
Oh wow! I actually want to really come play in the Hex River Valley a bit. That's just there behind your door there.
I've got connections.
That's good to know.
I've got connections. There's actually a kloof in the Hex River. Let me find a photo for you quickly.
I've done a few jumps there. It's amazing.
Where have you jumped in the Hex River?
I've done a few jumps off a cliff called Milner, and that's pretty much the biggest cliff we've got in South Africa.
Okay, yeah, that's the one with the tower on top, with the relay tower, if I'm correct.
No, that's Ben Heatley. That's also a very cool jump.
Yes.
It's like a massive yellow amphitheater. Absolutely amazing. I've actually been chatting to the Hex River Valley tourism people, and they're like super keen to get me out there. I should actually just come camp a little bit there.
Okay. Well, if you're planning that way, I'll make sure I've got cold beers and a braai.
I serviced the car today. I put new shocks in it, so brake pads ready for road trips.
Okay. Let me see if I can show you this. Okay. Okay. Focus. Focus. Oh, the exposure is a bit crappy. I'll send the photo to you on WhatsApp.
But that's probably the tower. The needle.
No. That's on the other side. It's there's a big dam in the kloof there that the kloof joins up to Ceres right below Matroosberg.
Oh yeah. I've heard of that dam before.
Yeah, it's if you look at that dam, it's to the left.
Oh, amazing! There's a lot of cool jumps in that gorge, I think.
Yeah, there's amazing places. There's absolutely amazing places. Okay, cool. Right.
Cape's got so much.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely amazing. Jean-Jacques, we're coming up to an hour. Is there anything else you want to chat about?
I would just say anyone that wants to do skydiving or base jumping or speed flying, you must do it the right way. Go find your local skydiving club, find the instructors, get the right knowledge. It's 2020 now. The internet's available to us. There's a lot of training online, a lot of knowledge online. Learn the gear, learn everything about it, and you'll succeed. And it's an amazing place, amazing community, amazing people, and it will be the adventure of your lifetime.
Oh, no, I can imagine. Well, I'll do it one day. I'll definitely do it one day. I just need to get the time.
Come to me. I'll take you for a spin and get you motivated, get you jumping. There's a very cool community in Cape Town. There's a lot of cool skydivers here, a lot of cool base jumpers, a lot of cool speed flyers, and it's happening. So it's going on.
Yeah, no, I will definitely make a plan. Jean-Jacques, I've added all your. That. No, I must say thank you to you for coming to chat to me. It's awesome meeting new people. Unfortunately, it's through a computer screen, but it's still awesome meeting new people.
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully, we can have a braai soon and come check out your valley and maybe do some jumps.
Yeah, dude, if you come this side, you must please let me know, because I would love to come and take some photos and video and all sorts of stuff of that.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've added all your social links and your YouTube and everything in the description. So, anybody still watching, if you haven't liked that stuff yet, please go and subscribe to his YouTube channel. Let's get him to 1,000 subs and make him.
I'm gonna try post a lot of cool content and make a lot of cool videos. And the more I get out there, the more cool stuff happens. And I've got my beautiful girlfriend, Katie, and she charges up the mountains with me, and she puts in a lot of effort to get a lot of cool shots. So yeah, big up to her and lots of love.
Yeah.
I love you guys out there.
Yeah. When I go with, I'll go up 5 hours ahead. I'm a little bit slow going uphill.
We'll send you the day before.
Yeah. Jean-Jacques, you must have an awesome evening, and thank you once again for coming to join me. I really appreciate it.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching, guys. Subscribe to Dewald's channel.
Thanks. All right. Keep well.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheerio. Bye.
Ciao.
Thanks, Jean-Jacques. Really appreciate that. It was absolutely interesting. It was amazing. It's a lot of stuff I learned. And guys, thanks. If you're still watching, please click subscribe. I really appreciate it. And until the next one, cheerio.